at the University of Santo Tomas in the Philippines. Lara she is a remarkable young individual who has joined multiple research competitions and public speaking competition in 2021, won third place overall in the Young Innovators Research Competition, and won during the second uh, season of Qatar Youth Science Forum, which we held last year. And Lara is also a top 10 speaker at the 63rd London International Youth Science Forum. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, Ms. Lara Espiritu.
Hello. Okay, so hi, hello, good afternoon. Yeah, I'm actually as nervous as you guys are right now because I believe that you all will be presenting later on with your own pitches and presentations. So, really nervous because I just prepared this like a while ago, just last minute. So, in order to ease the tension a little bit, can you guys do me a favor and let's all breathe in and out on the count of 3. Okay? 1, 2. I'm shaking. You can hear the tremble in my voice. But yeah, so our agenda today is for me to share you some tips and maybe tricks or suggestions for you guys to make your presentation maybe a little bit better, or to add that pizzazz when you present during the 64th LIYSF. Okay? Because I'm sure each and every one of you here wants to be part of that top 10 speakers who will be presenting, which you will present it with a fame lab style in front of all the entire delegates of the LIYSF. And you can see right now my mouth is shaking. Oh my god, I'm so nervous. So, to begin, I'm sure you heard a lot of achievements a while ago, like finalists in the Fame Lab, winning third place, champion, etc., etc. While I can use those to flex and brag to you guys, I just want you to know that any one of you here can actually achieve the same things. I'm not special. I'm just a regular 19-year-old girl who's about to turn 20 in a few months' time. I like to sleep, eat, who doesn't, right? And I also love to procrastinate. Just a normal girl in a normal world. But you see, I like to live by the statement that anything can come from something, or that nothing can be actually something. I know it sounds a little bit confusing to hear, so let me give you this statement on a film called the Ratatouille. Do you guys know that film? Yep. So I believe it was Gusto who said it, where he said that not everyone or not anyone is a good chef, but a good chef can come from anyone. Do you guys understand the point that I'm trying to tell you? So later on, I'll give you a little kind of a speech on how I can turn something into, or rather, how I can turn nothing into something. So with that said, let us proceed with our agenda for today. I guess it will revolve around an egg. Yes. So my entire talk today will revolve around an egg. Now, before we move on to that, is it right that you are only given 3 minutes to present later on? 3 minutes maximum, right? So, thinking of 3 minutes, it's kind of hard to express all your ideas and your passion in what you are going to be saying. But I also experienced the same thing. Because try to imagine having a topic about, let's say, a disorder that affects the brain. Or let's say I try to talk here and tell you about the course that I'm currently studying. I can go on here blabbering about the different types of veins in my arms, basilic, cephalic, and median cubital. And of course, you guys wouldn't understand what I'm talking about, right? Raise your hand if you understood what I just said. None. So, what I'm trying to imply to you guys is that when you use those 3 minutes, you're not here to stand up on stage and try to sound like a know-it-all, smart person, knowledgeable person who knows everything. You're trying to communicate and express your ideas to everyone. I like to imagine it as like trying to discuss a topic in front of toddlers or 5-year-olds. Because try to imagine if you are given the task to give a little speech or talk about, let's say, the endocrine system in front of small children. Imagine the amount of questions they'll be asking you. Teacher, what is a hormone? Teacher, what are pituitary glands? Teacher. There would be a lot of questions. And I don't think 3 minutes will be enough for that. And even if they don't ask that questions, are you sure that they'll be able to grasp or understand everything that you said within those 3 minutes? No. So, as I was trying to say, you are here in order to communicate and express your ideas. If it is really necessary for you to include those complex, bewildering words that makes the audience go, huh? Then you should know how to explain it to them. Okay? So now as we move along, where does the egg play a part in this presentation? Well, using those 3 minutes, imagine I'm holding an egg and I have it. So we can be able to identify 3 layers in an egg. There's the shell, the egg white, and the yolk. Is anyone here familiar with the egg method? No? So basically, the egg method is a way for you to format your own speech and even essay. So can anyone here tell me actually the 3 basic parts of a speech? Are you guys familiar with that too?
The intro, the body, and the conclusion.
Yep, that's correct. So we have the intro, the body, and the conclusion. So we correlate those parts with the parts of an egg. Let's say the intro for the eggshell, the body for the egg white, and of course the outro or the conclusion for the yolk. So how exactly are we supposed to do this? Well, so we know that the outermost layer or the thinnest part of the egg is the egg white. So our introduction is usually the statement that catches the attention of the viewers, right? We need to use that statement in order for them to get a grasp or sneak peek or even preview of what we are trying to say. And that's exactly similar to the eggshell of an egg. Because if you think about it, when you go grocery shopping with your parents, if you go grocery shopping with your parents, how do you think they are able to identify a good egg from a bad egg? Do you have any idea? No? Well, actually, when I go grocery shopping with my mom tends to look at the trays of the egg to see if there's a crack or there's no cracks. Of course, the egg tray with no cracks will be the one that we are going to buy. So similar to that, as the audience, we use the introductory statement or your introduction in order to identify if we are going to be participating or if we are going to be interested in what you have to bestow upon us. You get my point? Okay, now we proceed with the egg white. The egg white is the thickest part of the egg and it is correlated with the body. So the body should be the most important part of your whole presentation because it contains the essence of what you are trying to say. If the body doesn't really make sense or doesn't really connect with your introduction or your outro, then how are you so sure that the moment you finish your presentation, your audience would understand what you are trying to say? No? None? Nada. So you need to make sure that your body is just as good as your introduction and that it is directly connected to it. So that is why it is the thickest part of the egg. It is the most essential part. It is the longest part where you can express or explain your idea. Now finally, we move on to the yolk of the egg. Now, I don't know if it's just for me, but whenever I tend to eat a hard-boiled egg, the yolk has this everlasting texture or taste on my tongue, right? So that's how you want your conclusion to be. You want it to be everlasting to the audience. You want it to be something that they can take from your speech and share it with other people. That I think that's the perfect type of conclusion. Because not only are you there to present or express your idea, you also want them to know your passion and to share your passion with other people as well. Okay? So I believe that the egg method is the perfect way in order to format your speech. Now, how exactly can you make your speech better? Or how exactly can you make your presentation better? Let's move on with the bigger fish, okay? So what I'm going to be sharing to you guys are just some tips that I tend to do during my presentation. And there are about 4 tips that I like to do, but you can try to find your own style of presenting and maybe do something even better. If you like to do a little bit of comedy, if you want it to be a little bit more serious, if you want to use poetry in order to express your ideas, go ahead. But this will be just some tips that you can perhaps use. Okay? So first on the list, I actually joined them all. It's hand gesture, eye contact, and posture. So if you ask all my previous teachers, I'm known for using my hands most of the time. You can ask my teacher right there, he's my previous teacher. So when I present, I really use my hands. I love using them because not only does it help me control my nervousness, it also helps me remember things that I need to say. But besides that, I believe that using your hands can also be a way of communicating your ideas properly or even better to the audience. Because just imagine, if I stood here and then I just had my hands down here and then I started talking, it would be boring and I don't think you'll be able to understand what I'm trying to say. I can just go on blubbering, blah 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 blah, with my hands down here, and it wouldn't be as interesting as when I move my hands like this. For a fact, you can even, let's say, for people who don't really have the fluency in understanding the language that you are using, you can use your hands to communicate with them. Let's say you're trying to tell a story about a girl who saw a book, who read it, and then saw a picture, and then she burned it with a lighter. You can use your hands to play with whatever. But of course, there are some technicalities in which other people won't be able to understand your words, and that's where the using your arm gesture will work. Now, I know while you need to make the hand movements natural, it requires a little bit of practice. Because sometimes other people, maybe, yeah, me, I'm also part of those people who make the mistake of over-exaggerating the hand movements. So you can practice this by imagining that you have a box in front of you, and then you can use the box to imply whatever you want. Let's say you wanna imply the audience, you can reach out of the box, or you wanna point to yourself or make a point that corresponds to you, you can bring it in. And you wanna make something or give emphasis to something big, you can bring it out like that, something small inside. So you can just play around with the tiny box in front of you. Now, where does posture and eye contact come along? Well, you see, if I stood here again and just had this bad posture with my arms down, it's like I dread to be in here, right? Like I don't like being here. Don't talk to me. But if I stood up properly, with proper hand gesture, proper eye contact, then you can see and feel that I'm confident, I am assertive in what I'm trying to say, even though inside I'm so nervous right now. But you see, you can use that eye contact and that posture to help you convince the audience that you know what you're talking about, even though sometimes you don't. It's actually a trick, the posture and eye contact. Next, we move on with prompts. So unfortunately, right now, I wasn't able to bring any props, but I think this picture here is a good example. So this picture was taken during the Science Bazaar competition in the UK, And if you can see, we have this miniature model of our contraption. Unfortunately, we weren't able to bring it to the UK because it was really big, and I don't think it's even allowed to be, it's even allowed to fly with us. So what we did is just we made a smaller version of it in order for people to understand our machine. So I think with that, you can be able to show other people, to make them understand what you're trying to say even better. So there are times when props aren't really that essential, but it's a good way to add that cherry on top if you want to be extra, because props really help people engage more with what you're talking about. Next, we proceed with, so there's eye contact, posture, and hand gesture. Then we have props. And I guess the next one can be movement or owning the stage. Especially when you are alone, the stage is so big, and it would be a shame if you won't be able to use the entire space. If there are two of you, then it would be easier to occupy the stage, but if there's only one of you, it would be awkward if you just stay in one spot and then sway like this, like that. It's a big no-no for me. It's a big pet peeve. So I want you guys to stand on top of the stage and to be confident and own it. You can walk around, you can run, jog, whatever you want. It helps you gain more confidence. It helps you control the nervousness. And it helps the audience know that you are confident in what you are talking about, and that you know what you are talking about. So look at the difference. If I just stood here, swaying like this, versus me walking around. Which is better? Second one, right? Walking around. Next, finally, we proceed with my favorite part, or my favorite tip, the intonations of your voice. So most of the time, I've been hearing people present with a monotone voice, or a voice that, when you present, it's like a same tone all the way from the beginning to the end, and you won't be able to identify if they've reached to a conclusion, if they proceeded to another part, and etc., etc. You see, the intonation of your voice can actually say a lot of what you are trying to say. Because, let's say I talk here and say, "Hi, I'm Lara. I have 2 cats. They're named Morris and Tom Tom, and I live in Barba City." It's like, what's she trying to say? But if I add a little more intonation and put emphasis on parts that I want to emphasize, "Hi, my name is Lara, and I have 2 cats. They're named Morris and Tom Tom, and I lived in Barba City." So you see, it's easier to grasp what the speaker is trying to say, and it makes it more livelier. It gives more emphasis on the words that they're trying to communicate, and overall, it just gives a better presentation. So now we proceed with how I can turn nothing into something by using the different tips that I just told you guys. So I will be presenting right now with something that has actually no essence, nothing important at all, no sort of information. You will learn nothing from it. Yet I will make it seem like you have learned something from it by the play of my voice, by my posture, eye contact, and my hand gesture. So let's give it a try. Okay, so by the number of hands here, can someone here raise their hand if they've been asked multiple questions already? If they've been asked questions? Like, and throughout your entire life, have you been asked questions? Raise your hand. Great, so I just asked that question without really making sense, because I would lead to another topic that doesn't really make any sense either. Now, I'm going to try and slow down a bit to make it seem like I'm moving on to another point, but I'm actually not. And then I'm gonna smile a little bit, because I'm gonna pretend that I shared something personal with you guys, like a personal anecdote. But I didn't really share anything at all. And then I'm gonna try playing my voice, playing with my hands, like I'm giving something very important, but I'm not talking about anything important at all. And then I can drop some numbers. Just like 2 times 2 is 4, we have 5 fingers, we have 2 hands, we have 1 brain. You see? I'm not really making any sense at all. But with the play of my voice, with the intonation, with the hand gesture, the movement, it's like I'm trying to say something or give information. And then I can slow down again. And then I can pause to lead to a serious point. And then I just can proceed with nothing at all. I can just stand here, say random words, blah, 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 blah. You see? Just play with your voice, play with your hands, your posture, and everything will just connect together and make it seem like you are trying to say something. Now, right now I'm not even trying to communicate with you guys. I'm just randomly dropping words. But imagine if you actually have an information that you are trying to communicate and you use all of these tips, sorry, my accent is disappearing, all of these tips to present that, it would make it even more better. But of course, as I said a while ago, you have your own style or play on how you want to present. So hopefully these tips will help you find that kind of style. But I guess the most important fact of all is that even though you're good in presenting your ideas, even though you can communicate with the audience, you're the best in public speaking, none of those will matter if you don't have passion on what you are trying to talk about. So that's actually the number one thing you must consider. And that's supposed to be the number one thing that I should have mentioned to you guys. You must need passion on whatever you want to talk about. Because if you don't have that passion, you will forget the lines, the script, whatever you've prepared. The audience would be easily, sorry, I'm running out of grammar. The audience can easily tell if you're just bluffing, if you don't really enjoy with what you're doing. It can be easily seen on your posture, your hand gestures. So when in doubt, always remember that if you're passionate about something, then you will always be able to present information after information after information. Because again, our task in Fame Lab or any sort of presentation whatsoever is to communicate to other people about our passion. And that is all for my presentation. Thank you.